Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham. This is insane. Like I don't know why they put me between you guys. This is going to be a live night.
So we didn't fight.
So you didn't fight, right?
Keep hands to yourself.
This has been a long time coming. So I know you came on and did The Journey is The Journey
is the destination.
That you coined. So we did that one not that long ago. Yes. Just catching up. And it's like, we need them together. And I was talking to Tim about something, and I hit up Abby, and it's like, hey, let's make this happen. Because when you guys get together, it's just going to start going. It will go. And I'm counting on it. Like, that's exactly what I capture you. So right now I'm joined by Perry Saul, Able Shepherd 040. Right? Tim Brown, 045, very close together. But then also, we're in the new studio, so thank you, Seth. Once again, it looks great. Brought in a bunch of stuff. He put it all together, make it cool. It was living in my basement in a Rubbermaid container, and he throws it up. And I'm really impressed, so thank you so much, and it's fun. But we've got a full house here. So what you guys can't see, we got BK, what's up, brother, as usual, 051. And we got Jason, the 86ers in town training from Montana. He's over there sitting on the floor, just what are you, heckler?
Jason.
He's going to be heckling, and you see Skittles getting thrown up here? That's him. And then Tyler, 266. What's up, young blood? Able Shepherd 266. And we're up to 319. 319.
Amazing.
So that is a big deal. So awesome. So yeah, this is just, it's a cool night. Can't wait to see where this goes. Quick introduction, man. Who's Perry Saul?
I'm kind of one of the OGs. I kind of came around this very early on in the program. Yeah. And the only reason I am an OG and not a lower number than 40 is it took me forever to make Able Shepherd.
You're only 3. No, I'm
I could have been probably 15, or 18, something like that. But
hey, man,
but
I don't know if you know this or not, but the journey
is the destination, and that's exactly who I am, where I came from. This was all came out of me wanting to do one last really hard thing, and I'd never shot a gun, never did anything. My son got interested, and he wants to shoot a gun. I said, I'll do it with you. He took off, led me into Jimmy, where I started. I was terrible. I was probably the most dangerous person with a gun over there. And through his toolage, I took forever. I always counted almost on, I'm not going to make it through, but let's see how much further I can get. Or what else can I get out of this one? And that journey... You did not give up. And people would say to me, how much longer? I mean, I think I tested 15 times, 20 times, a lot on there.
You physically shook, and I would look at the instructors, I'm like, uh-oh.
It was really, yeah.
Because there's just there's always
we're at the line. I've got a target maybe 10 feet in front of me. There's a big boom, and no one can find the hole.
Right. It wasn't that bad.
It was terrible. But through that, I didn't really mind not being an Able Shepherd. I was becoming an Able Shepherd, and for some people that could take generations. No, for
your family
ancestry,
right? So all of a sudden, that's just another thing. That
didn't make a difference. All the advanced training and all the incredibly fun stuff, I wasn't ready for. I'm still doing baby steps in there, and I think that made me definitely a better Able Shepherd and a better person, better father, grandfather, friend. So I think the journey being as long as it was for me, I think it not only made me who I was supposed to be in there, it rubbed off on a lot of other shepherds that came into the program and struggled.
Yeah.
And I could take them aside and sit them down and go, oh, listen, you're probably going to wind up so much better, a better person, a better Able Shepherd. than if you had just smoked through this whole deal. Because we had people that have smoked through the whole deal and never saw them again.
Yeah.
The ones who've really vested in the program, in each of us, where we don't leave each other's side, we do everything together, in the program, out of the program, those are the ones, that are the bonds that are be forever. We're going to do this program together. We'll probably on an adventure die together. We'll get hurt real bad.
I just thought about this, so I don't know how many times you tested. You don't know exactly, right? But it was
a lot,
right?
It was a lot.
So not to rub it in, but that we got people that went through the course, 6 months, whatever, and then we didn't see them again because they just wanted another thing to just check off, right? Then, like the person who's got through this program the fastest is sitting in this room, right? You came through 1 week and challenged the program because of all the advanced training you've done all over, and he got protector in 1 week. He came back another time, not too far in the second week, and got to Able Shepherd. So in 2 weeks, he was at advanced training, right? And he lives in Montana and all that. But unfortunately, he's in Montana. He doesn't get to experience this
every day
as much. And when he comes in, we haven't stopped in, 9 days, 8 days, something like that.
We tries to pack it into 2 weeks, right?
It's been insane. So when I drive to Castle Rock, when I come home, I crest that hill and I see Castle Rock, right? And I make it a point to pray over Castle Rock, over Colorado, over my kids. And for the past 8 days or whatever, I've just been like, God, thank you that I get to do this. These days are insane. We just put the chief of police back on. He sent back to Spokane, and he was like, what? He just loves it. We're hugging and talking, and I'm just a good dude that's looking to bring something back. All these possibilities, and it's just awesome. And every day's new. It's a different thing. It's equally awesome, but different. So it's just what we get to do.
Well, it's one of those things we say that we come for the training and we stay for the relationships and the community. And the family. And it is a family. A lot of us do stuff, volunteer for stuff that just because we want to be there to, commune with our friends, even the ones that come in every 2 weeks, 6 months away. But, it's it's the idea.
Yeah.
And it strengthens those bonds. And, I believe that's all led by the Holy Spirit. I think that everything that we have all done together to get to Able Shepherd and then go through the training, I think that God's hand has been on that for every single person.
Yeah.
And then what you do, Jimmy, is with this program, you bring the Able Shepherd out of people. You give them the opportunity to train, learn, and practice, and then boom. Amen. And there is a richness, and that is unheard of in this day and age. You get the training, and then you get this incredible community, and other things that Able Shepherd and we're all doing outside of the training for our communities. It just feeds on that.
There's an attack on men, and I consider this a counterattack. That came out of my mouth about the book, and I was just talking about the book, Return of Man. And I said, there's an attack on men. This book's a counterattack. And Able Shepherd is a counterattack. It's giving men dignity or honoring them that shouldn't be a strange thing. It's just we wouldn't even recognize it if there wasn't such an attack on masculinity. I'm like, no, this was always yours. I'm just giving it back, right? Exactly. So this is an easy thing. It's like not easy. It's not an easy thing, but it's not complex. So this right here, you should have always been dangerous. You should have always said, when I tell people it's your responsibility to defend your loved ones, they're like, what are you talking about? That's what the cops are for. That's never what the cops are for.
That's right.
The cops are to do their best, to the best of their ability to protect this community.
Yeah, it's the community and the society, but it's your job to protect your family.
It's 10 on duty to protect 70,000. The math doesn't work. Like when you call 911 and there's not enough dudes, the truth shows up. It's your job, right? Quick intro, Tim Brown. Who's Tim Brown?
Well, let's see. I am still quite a bit of a nerd. I did a lot of rocket engineering for General Dynamics and Lockheed Martin. Then I found out I could make more money in doing computer science, so I just switched sciences, I guess. But anyway, always been kind of a nerd, but then I always liked to shoot guns. Got my CCW and started doing security at the Rock about the same time you got out of your government service.
Rock Church, Castle Rock.
I think it was the same year, in fact. And then you came in, and I was thinking right before that, well, what do I do? I want to help. I think I can do this, but I don't know what I would do in a live shooter situation, how I would. I don't know how I would react. And then Jimmy shows up, and he just, frankly, my life has never been the same since, and that's Holy Spirit led.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I mean, that whole thing at the Rock that we did prior to you starting up Able Shepherd. It was really good, and I found out this is the one thing outside of my nerdy science work that I got to do this for myself, for my family, for my community. I have to do it, And it took me a long time. So as soon as Able Shepherd started up, I said, I'm in. So that was January, and then in March I joined the program, and in April my company sent me to New York City. And so I had to do that for a number of months, but then as soon as I got back, okay, diving right in, And instead of, number 45, maybe I would have been number 30 or something like that, but, you got to make money to pay the bills.
That's right.
So anyway, life's never been the same, and it's been all very good. It's been hard. It's been challenging. But, look where we're at now.
Man, I want to back up because you just pinged a memory. I want to honor Mike Spray.
Absolutely.
Because you talk about just a staple at the Rock and Castle Rock, Mike and Terry.
Such a rock.
He is a rock. And that's, when you come into, so I remember having the discussions when we needed a church, and this is still CIA days. Mm-hmm. This is still 13 hours time frame.
Yeah, you were still working, but Rachel was and her sister were here.
Yeah. We moved here to raise our family with the Steffens, my brother and sister-in-law, and moved down here. And we needed to find a church, so we found a church. She's like, "You're gonna love it." We went and checked it out and all that stuff. And then you're gonna hand your young kids over to somebody. And as a protector, literally by vocation, I'm gonna hand my kids to somebody. I'm like, "What are you guys doing for security around here?" And it was like, "Well, we're shooting and doing this and the good efforts." But I'm like, man, that's not enough. Can I help? Mm-hmm. And Mike was like, well, what do you got? And I'm sure he gets that all the time from, what you need to do. But I was just like, I want to help. I actually have some equipment. I have some knowledge. And then he let me just kind of introduce that to the team, and he realized this is going to be better. I'm not trying to take over. I'm not trying to run it. But he allowed me to come in alongside him, actually beneath his leadership, and take over training and start running drills with your son. I remember that? Yeah. We're going through and we're shooting.
And you had me shoot Sam.
We had him shoot his own son. He's not son like he's a little kid. He's like a man. So big old guy. And that was amazing, because now it's like, you remember when the news was coming through there all the time? Because it was very new. People were like, what do you mean church security team? Like an armed church security? I'm like, yeah. Like when we talk about immediate responders, they have to be there already.
When we started, people would come up to me and say, don't you think you're overdoing this? And by the time we ended, and then after, your family moved on, I was still there. All I got was, thank you for what you're doing, because things happened.
Yeah. I remember a lady.
Where do I learn this?
Yeah. I remember a lady came up and she was like, Jimmy, don't you think that if this many people are carrying firearms that there's going to be an accident? And I'm like, well, not if they're doing it professionally. And I said, with all due respect, how long have I known you? Well, many years. I've had a gun on my hip every single time we talked. And they were like, oh. It's like, should I be allowed to defend you? Like, I've got the history of this. I know a little bit about it. And if you and your family got attacked, I would protect you. Does my family deserve to have me live? I'd die for you, but I don't choose to. I'd rather live for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and she was like,
live and die.
Let me think about that. So that was a really cool kind of transition at a time this wasn't readily accessible. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about, I'm like, this is coming. I used to say, this is coming. There's nothing's telling me it's not.
And the rest of us didn't have any idea, but your experience showed you that this is coming. The rest of us took it on faith, and then, and then stuff happened.
And now we're leading other communities because we're way ahead of them. It's like we've been doing this a long, long time now. So that's huge. Quick memory. I remember when we were from the Rock, we used to. I didn't really know how to articulate this, so I didn't really know what I wanted to say. We were we're gonna lay low. I'm talking 13 hours. I'm talking about Benghazi. I was in Castle Rock. We were living with my brother and sister-in-law. I remember I was coming down the hill to hit I-25 to head to Denver to do some kind of business, startup business seminar. How do you start a business and who are the organizations through the veterans, blah, blah, blah. And I get a text from my crew, one of my GRS guys, and it says, have you seen the news? And this would have been on September 12th. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I just, any news, I don't even remember what it was. I think it was a flip phone. So I had to get somewhere to I looked at it, and you saw Benghazi, ambassador, all of this stuff, right? So that's how I learn about it. So I call back to the line, what do you need? They're like, we need you back. And I'm like, I just got home. Whoa, what are you talking about? My wife's going to skin me, man. We got 2 babies. And that's how I learned about it. So I go back, I didn't have to go back immediately. Thankfully, they had backfilled with some other guys, but I was the first team back to Benghazi, actually. But flew back to Tripoli, not as a team lead this time because so many senior guys were there. I came in there and started operating, and we had a day trip up to Benghazi, got some intel, got some vehicles, did all this other stuff, moved them and whatever, facilitated these meetings, but then we flew back. Anyways, the movie comes out, and I know those guys, so we rotating back, I remember they got stuck at DC debriefing for a long time. And then I was back waiting to go back out, and I'd worked it out with Tig to buy like a half a beef, right? Like he had cattle, and we made fun of it. And I still remember this because it was a Scottish Highland cow. Have you ever seen a Scottish Highland
Was that
cow?
from the Cherokee
I
Ridge Castle?
I felt bad,
Yeah.
man. It looks like Brad Pitt with horns.
Right,
I'm like, you're going to kill this? Like,
Yeah.
having
They
as a
were
pet.
big fluffy cows.
But it was
yes.
delicious. Anyways, we'll move on. But it was, and I had to meet with his wife and go down there and do like a drug deal with like there's frozen meat and cash going on because it was supposed to be with him, but he was delayed and they still harvested the animal. Then when those guys came back, they told me a story that ended up being a book, that ended up being a movie.
Right.
And it was very accurate. Like, meaning from what they told me, because obviously I wasn't there, I was there when Jack Silva, all that kind of took place. But when the attack actually happened, I wasn't. So they came back and kind of over beer at Cheddar's down in Colorado Springs. We talked about it, and they just kind of shared what happened. So when I read the book, I was like, pretty much what they said. Then the movie came out and all that.
Right.
But when the movie came out, do you remember this?
I remember we all went there to see
said,
it.
I think I said something to the security team because I was like, hey guys, this is, what I say? I said it something like, I've got personal experience, or I have a personal tie into this movie because they were friends of mine.
Yeah, personal
That was
tie-in.
it.
That's what you
and
said.
There wasn't a whole lot of, so I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to see because what I was expecting is they're going to butcher this movie and it's going to be embarrassing, right? That's kind of what I thought because that's what always happens. So I go there and it was emotional. I walked in and the theater was packed.
We had a lot of people other than the security team.
Except for the 2 seats in the center. And you guys were saving me and Rachel's seats.
Yeah.
And we went in there and I was
packed.
like, what? And sat down and it was like, I struggled through that movie. But I was like, I remember thinking, this is the safest theater in the state, in the country right now. Because everybody was, starting the training process anywhere in that, but everybody was armed, right? And it was like, it was a special thing. So it was a cool thing. I had seen that, up until this past summer twice, that day, and then in the mountains of Montana with some of you guys,
which was awesome.
Yeah, when we were doing that ride, and I was a guest speaker at the 10-year anniversary.
Right.
And then this summer, my nephews pulled it up and watched it again. I still don't lightly watch it. It was pretty significant when I watched it this last time. So that was a special memory. Okay, so how did we meet? Like, how did you meet me? Do you remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how'd you guys meet? So
right at the beginning, Jake wanted to learn how to shoot. And so I said they just opened up this Centennial Gun Club. I said, I haven't been in it, but I guarantee you they teach there.
Yeah.
We went in, started taking some classes with John and Steve.
John G, yep.
Yeah. And then Jake he wanted out of Colorado. He was done with Denver, so he went off and did his paramedic thing over there. But I was alone, and I was really liking this. And John Gonzalez says, Perry, I think there's a spot which will really meet your needs and kind of, kind of bring out the best in you. And I said, all right, still we could not shoot a gun. It was still dangerous. We can carry a gun. So he says to me, have you heard about the Able Shepherd program? I went, no. He says, well, see the building down there? That used to be our Centennial Gun Club. Now we're here. Now that is the program Able Shepherd. And the head of the program there, he's an elite Navy SEAL. He does this training program. I think that you'll really, really click well. I said, so all right, give me his name and number. I'll give him a call, make an appointment. You're correct. He says, just go down there and open the door. I said, well, it's kind of my style. But you would give
New
me
York,
a number.
okay.
Right,
Hey,
yeah,
where's my
New
chair?
York, Miami. So as I'm walking down, looking for the sign Able Shepherd, it didn't say Able Shepherd. It said Active Shooter Response Training Center. I maybe have 3 hours of shooting under my belt. I'm like, I don't think I belong here. I'm going, go with the flow. So I walk in there and I see you, and you're surrounded by a lot of people. You're very, very big. You're organized. It was only you, I think Skip maybe.
yeah.
that was it. I mean, running a lot. And so you acknowledged me and was like, I'll be with you in a sec. And I just watched everything going on. And I sat down and I said, hi, Perry Saul. I know John Gonzalez did this over there. He said he thinks this would be it. He says, what? He says, he said to me, well, what kind of experience do you have? I go, 0. He said, perfect. It's so hard for me to unteach bad habits than to teach it correctly to begin with. And so I said, well, fill me in. So you give me the Reader's Digest version. You go, but if you really want to find out what we do, we have a program everyone starts on. It's called the POP, Protect Our People program. It's a 4-hour class, and you're going to be spent by the end of the 4 hours, but you'll know whether or not you are a protector, a hunter, who you are as a person, or want to, use the program for that. And so I said, all right, well, when's the next POP class? You look at your calendar, he goes, and it was late already. It was probably like 7 at night. He goes, be here tomorrow morning at 9. So I showed up for the POP, and it was much more than I could possibly even imagine. I mean, I was so hook, line, and sinker. I was giddy. It was like, let's do it again. Let's do another 4 hours.
So who would have thought, like, then? So some people might not know that the standard to get an Able Shepherd number that we read off earlier is tactical training, rifle, pistol, tactics, entries. Can't throw one round. It's all time. Blah blah blah. All this other stuff, and it works up to sometimes over years.
And the standard doesn't drop.
It doesn't drop.
Anything.
We don't
Nothing.
max that at all. But do you remember when we were at 200 yards and you had that shorty 22?
Yep.
And
Tipman
we're like,
arms.
what is he doing with that
Tipman
thing?
arms.
And you're like, I just want to see. And he lays down. Ting. We're like, oh my! And he's like, I hit. Ting, ting, ting. And you start ringing steel from 200 with his
It was
Tipman
unbelievable.
arms.
What
22.
surprised me the most about that is how long it took the bullet to get there. Because I pulled the trigger expecting to hear ting, and I got nothing.
Guys, I don't think I
got not ting.
Ting.
Yeah. And I'm looking at and I shoot again, and I don't hear anything, and you said, shh, ding.
It's fundamental. Once you understand how to shoot, you can shoot anything.
It was
pretty
amazing.
much, right? It's like, hey, these are fundamentals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. And I remember you guys still want to party over
and I still love that little.
Put down you.
I love that 22.
It's so cool.
That thing could reach out further than 2, I think.
Yes. How did we meet?
It was at the Rock, and a lot of people don't know this, but in the ensuing several years that you were starting up the program and you were teaching the security team, we actually applied for and got a U.S. patent.
Yes,
for
that's
a device.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the sad thing is, good, we got the patent. Second of all, drone technology just completely eradicated our patent.
Yes.
Because drone technology took over at the same time, and it's just like exploded.
Yes.
So anyway, it was a good try. I can say I got a U.S. patent with Jimmy Graham, and that's about it for that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So I remember drawing this up and saying, hey, being a communicator, I always had to, line of sight, all this other stuff. It's like, if we could get, and this was the concept basically, because now drones have taken over, so it's not like you're doing anything with it. Yeah. We had a hand deployed thing where I could pull it and deploy it like a grenade. Just pull it and throw it. And much like airbag technology, you can pow, and now helium inflates a balloon and takes a repeater this big. If you can just think Lone Survivor, if it can get up far enough to get a beacon out of here, help is coming. And then we had a model that actually would transmit, record our first 30 seconds and blast it. And then also another one that recorded while the firefight was going on, it would record. And as soon as it got a clear signal, because you're not transmitting back to the States, you're dragged to the forward operation.
Yeah, the FOB, yeah.
So now it's like it's banging. Now the cavalry's coming, and I put the communicator back on a gun where it needs to be. Right?
And we even had a working prototype.
We did.
And it worked great. I was ready to rock and roll, and then drones just totally superseded it.
It was bigger, and then the challenge would have been spending money to get it smaller.
Small enough.
To where it just that life-saving link to get that word out. Yep.
And all they got little drones this big will do the same thing.
Yes, for $50. You're like,
$50,
my son just bought one for 50. We were out messing with it. I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. So then how did you guys meet?
In the program?
Well, it was here.
Just here.
So I started in March of 2017, but then I had to take the break to go to wonderful New York City and eat all that great food that you already had experience with. But then So it must have been after I came back, like the fall of 2017.
Right,
because we went through that program together.
But we trained a lot
a lot together.
Just you and me. Mm-hmm. Like we were at every range.
Yeah, I think that we've increased the stock portfolio of CGC or something.
We did, yeah.
Remember you invited me out to that tunnel thing?
That was another range.
Oh, the other range,
yeah. What are you talking about? You're like in a tube, and we went down there shooting.
Yeah, I also belong to another club, which is it's a private little club. It's been around since 1950 and has not changed anything since then. And there's only 500 members, and you have your own key, so you can come and go as you want. You hang targets, shoot, clean up, and under it, the best thing they had was an underground, big corrugated, like a sewer line kind of deal, 100 yards out, that you can put a target down there and then close the door and shoot through a little box. It was a pain at the beginning because you had to walk back and forth, back and forth. Then they put up those visual recognition software cameras that would dial in on your target and a little iPad that you're sitting right next to. So all you had to do is hit record, fire 5 shots, go show me, it blinks those. And then now you have 100 shots, fire 5, show me just those last 5.
Yeah. Because we had your family members come out and we were teaching a little class. It was kind of cool, but when you first walk in, I was like, it's sleeping.
Yeah,
like we're doing something wrong. I'm like, what's happening right now? Where are we going?
It was like the Grand Poobah
Lodge. Press checking
Lodge.
Before you go down in the tunnel. Give me a second.
Remember the Flintstones, the Grand Poobah Lodge? It was kind of like that. And they're all World War II old guys that just hang out. They don't shoot. And they're all deaf. And they're telling the same stories back and forth on there. And so I hung out with them. It was nice. But I know that I took you and showed you that we kind of have a pretty cool 100-yard range there.
Pretty cool. Tell me about, so when I think of you guys together, I would say what pops to the front of mind is the lineage ride.
Oh, my God.
So what was the lineage ride?
Well, that was really not just Tim and I. That was the core of who was Able Shepherd, whether you made Able Shepherd or not, because everyone was invited. You didn't have to
if there's a list of coolest, that's on it. I don't know where it is, but
it's in the top 3. It's in the top. It's in the top 3.
For me, that's the top one.
So what was it? What was it? I just want to hear your words.
Yeah, the lineage ride for me was a lot of fun, but it was also a mission. Yeah. It was a mission to get the word out about Able Nation and to help other churches and organizations all around the Northwest on our 4,200-mile ride, which was a lot of fun.
And
but we had a mission, but we had fun along the way. Yeah. And we developed those relationships along the way. And those relationships, are still there to this day.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
They're the tightest. Tell me
about it. What was it? What?
Well, originally, it was a mission for. There's Able Shepherd, there's Able Nation. Mm-hmm. Able Shepherd is a personal training, tactical readiness program that and it's really for you protecting your own next year. Able Nation is let's reach out everywhere we can. Let's start off with churches, private schools, let's develop security teams, and let's do it right. Let's really train. And everyone was on fire for this now. Our name is just getting out there. And we really did Able Nation to raise a lot of money.
Yeah.
That lineage ride, which we did, we raised a fortune for that, which was incredible.
Like $25,000 or something like that.
It was a lot. But what I loved about it is it was our first step out of a training individual to let's protect community. And from there, we had branches of Stand in the Gap Initiative, comms and radios, and so many. But during that lineage ride, what I loved is we went from town to town, city to city, and most places knew we were coming. Mm-hmm. Like we did that 4,200-mile ride in how long?
Was it
3 weeks?
I think it was 3 weeks.
Yeah, we did a lot of driving. We were on the road. And each city or town or little whatever we rode up into, we were all on motorcycles and trucks on there. And they were expecting us. So it was already police and fire and council people where they would go, you're Jimmy Graham. Well, we have a lectern for you to say a few words, share who you are. And then people are just going, wow, I didn't know a program like this can protect my church, my temple, my house of worship, and or my school, or whatever it is. And I loved walking in and just having these one-on-one conversations, and then you right behind me to hand them. We were, I think at that point, we were either sponsored or something with North American Rescue.
Yes.
Where they were sending us med kits.
Yeah.
And these are hundreds and hundreds of dollars of medical equipment.
Like a 6-pack trauma.
Yeah, trauma. Hey, this is heavy. A trauma surgeon, this is what they need. And we would meet and share who we are and what we're doing and hand them this with nothing, no strings attached. Hand them this where we don't know how to use that. Someone in your congregation, if God forbid it would happen, now you have that on staff. Yeah. And it literally just opened up doors where all the able nation, all the able shepherds, we were on fire. We wanted to share more of who we are, what we can do. How can we do this faster? How do we accelerate this? And we just bonded closer and closer and closer.
It was an instant community
Yeah.
that we established because of why we were doing it and
Yes.
how we did it. It's just like instant, like there's people all over the Pacific Northwest now that know and are part of this, protector or, community. Maybe not Able Shepherd, but, we know who
Protector
they are.
culture, yeah.
It's a protector culture. And we were spreading that and helping it to, take root in those different churches and schools.
Awesome. So the route roughly from Denver, head west till you hit the ocean.
And then jump in the ocean.
Jump in it.
We're with the Navy SEAL, so every body of water we had to jump into.
I mean, that's what it's for.
Okay, we got wet.
That was that started a long time ago in Montana, and it as soon as it was uttered, chili dip. Everybody knows what that is because it's a punishment in buds. It's like, hey, you guys messed up, chili dip, chili dip. So it just struck a nerve with like Gary Ellis, myself, some of the SEALs that were on the Ride for Lance, that is an Amazon special that we were honoring a SEAL buddy, Lance Carl. But anyways, that sunk the deal for me, and I was like, man, if there's water, you should jump in it because I know everybody comes out 8 years old. Everybody's like laughing and and you're cold and all that stuff, and it wakes everybody up, and then you're recharged to get back to it, right? So that was super cool. You guys remember Steve Klein?
Yeah.
He had some medical concerns, and he didn't do it.
The multi-talented Steve Klein wouldn't do the dip.
Yeah, because he had some health concerns, and he said all this and that, and he didn't do it. And then
he didn't sleep that night.
He couldn't sleep that night.
Yeah.
And he wakes me up, and he's like, I got to do this. Like, it was a thing, like, I must do it. Did you know that?
I didn't hear that.
So me and Neil Pinkham got up early and drove him out there. So, and he did it. So he's running out there, and he's like, and you got some guys rolling with us. They're not spring chickens, man. They're like, and he's running out there in his short pants and his underoos, and he jumps in this thing, and he's underwater. He comes back out, and then
everyone
back to the road.
Everyone on that ride got lifted higher and higher and higher. No one finished the same as they
were different people.
We were different people.
So then we head north, and we got our what's the town? Jay, help me out. The Goonies pick. Remember that on the beach? There's a beach that's in the movie Goonies when they line up the stuff.
Astoria?
What is it? Astoria. Yeah. So Astoria, Washington, or is it Oregon? Oregon. And I remember we were out there taking pictures, doing all that. Then we up to Seattle, got our Space Needle pick. We stopped with a buddy. We won't talk much about that because of the connections with that are still kind of active or whatever, but a buddy from my past. And that was the stopping spot right there was where the ceremony was going to happen. Lineage ride implies lineage. Like your line of people, like you didn't get you here. There's a line that got you here. And giving honor to, my dad was helping me plan that in the very early stages, and I lost my dad, and that's actually one of the people that I was honoring. Some of the guys that we lost in Benghazi, I was writing for several people, but at that middle ground, I got to tell those stories. It's just a little piece of who those people were. And do you remember when we went up into that upper room and they had the audio visual, and we had prepared the video with music, and you see slides of all these people and in all of our lineage that weren't with us, right? They're not with us anymore. So then we, from there, that was a couple days there, and then we came back through Montana, and this is so cool because we didn't plan it. It just happened. We got through there, touched base with the 86er, Jason in Missoula, and then we were going to do lunch and introduce you to them, and I was like, guys, I'm thinking there's a bunch of road bikes here. I don't want to jam things up. I'll catch up. I know where the next stop is. I got to go do something. And guys were like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, when I was out here in 2004, after just a bad stint with what everybody would later know as Blackwater. It was just a messy thing, and guys died and all that. I just went to Montana just to clear, Control-Alt-Delete, clear Jimmy Graham's head. Let's just go do this. And I went out there, and I found a place. The realtor told me about a place called the Jack. So the Lumberjack, and it's a cabin out in the middle of mountains. It's awesome. It's huge.
In the middle of nowhere, and you show up, and everybody's there.
I'm like, I'm gonna go. I left something here. What was it? So that would have been 15 years ago. I left something here 15 years ago, And I'm going to go check and see if it's still there. And you're like, well, what is it? And I tell you, I was here. That was my headquarters. In the middle of the mountains, there's this big cabin. It's a bar. You can get a steak. Your dog can come in, do all this. Back then you could. And I'm hanging out. And I was like, this is so cool. They had out back for nothing, $20, $30. You could get a cabin that had a shower, get a steak dinner, get a good night's sleep, get all cleaned up, and then head back out in the mountains. So I was just living out in the mountains doing this, just sightseeing and experiencing it and hanging out with my dog. And one night I'm sitting there after beer 5, whatever, different time. I'm sitting there and I look up and I see something, some kind of military something, and I go out in my truck, and I don't even know why I had this in my truck, but I had a black Trident, which isn't a thing anymore. It used to be on the camis. They're all gold now, or they're sewn on, but a black Trident. And I asked the bartender, can I put this up there? And they're like, yeah, they didn't know what it was. And I went there and pounded it in there, and I put the date and my initials. And they've taken all the stuff down since then.
It was resold.
It was all, so new ownership and all that stuff. And they even redid the siding and all that stuff, but they replaced it. So you don't see what I wrote, but they put the Trident back up there. So if you're ever in, outside
and we
of Missoula,
showed up, remember?
So well, then you guys are like, where we want to go? And I'm like, well,
there.
some of your bikes, on the gravel and all that stuff, they'll make it, but you're not comfortable riding. And we go, let's pile in vehicles.
Yeah.
So then as we're going to go out there, we're all going to go. And then Jay, I was like, hey, brother, could you lead us out? Could you take us and lead us? So I didn't really make this connection with we're on the lineage. He explained it to me. And he goes, do you understand what that was for me? Is that, as being a, is it Nez Perce? Is that the one that's applicable, right? Like with Chief Joseph, and going up through that valley that is Lolo, the Lolo Pass, like that was where Chief Joseph was fighting off attacks as they were moving north and all that, his lineage.
Wow.
So he's bleeding. Now it's paved, beautiful, gorgeous, just God's country. He's leaning in with these GSs, and he's in his rear view. He just sees bikes doing this number, heading back, and it was just beautiful. And then we get back there and introduce you to that amazing find. Because I asked him at one point, I'm like, hey man, you know what this place? Like, do I know it? Like, that's my stopping. Like him and his cousins grew up in that place, and we had never. He might have been there the weekend after I was in 04. Right? We just don't know. So many crossing paths, and there it was. And I was like, hey, can I come by in the bar for just a second? They're like, why do you want to, kind of? And I'm like, well, I left that here 15 years ago. They're like, he's here. Like it was kind of like nobody's knows what that is. Like what is that? Like
the legend is
so the legend lived.
Well, no, it's just everybody asked questions and they didn't know what to say, right? Because whoever I talked to and hung out didn't work there anymore. So now it's like I go and take a picture with it, and now they're getting the boss and coming out. We sign a thing, and now we'll know, and blah blah blah. I think they give them a card or something like that. And it was just another cool experience.
There were about 8 people lined up at the bar, with a drink or something like that. And they're going, oh, that guy.
Well, and it was weird because when you go to a bar,
know?
Especially in those kind of scrappy out-of-town bars,
Yeah.
people are looking at you like we're about ready to roll around on the grass. It's like, who's this guy thinking? And then all of a sudden that comes out. It's like, hey, bro. And now we're all buddies and hanging. He's like, oh, I got a buddy that's in the Marines and blah, blah, blah. And it's just cool.
Yeah, it was great connection. Once again, a connection.
Yes, another connection. And then coming back through, we're coming back through Tetons, and it was frozen. Do you guys remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah,
I was thinking, I hope they can
I think
stay
we
upright.
hit every weather there is.
Yeah, that was no joke because that was like a when you're riding and you're leading that thing and you're doing brake checks to see if you still got
right.
We might have to pull over because this is freezing up. And we're crawling through there, and you got a lot of RVs just cursing our names.
And we had
that's all you get.
We had our emergency on their lights on our trucks on.
What
What did we have? I think we had 12 bikes and 2 trucks.
3 trucks and about 10 to 12 bikes, depending on the day.
Yeah, so good, so good.
So, but we were going slow through the snowstorm on bikes.
Yeah. Speaking of bikes.
We'll finish the rest of the lineage.
Oh, then we bring it home. Let's see.
We stopped by Shooter's Grill.
Shooters, that was on the way out, yeah?
No, that was the one on the way back because we got there and then we got on I-70 and came back
Lauren
in.
Bobart.
Yeah, we met Lauren.
Yep, at that restaurant back then when everybody's all the waitresses are packing.
Yep.
And we went out front. She actually came out front, took a picture.
Yeah, we've got the picture.
We got the picture, right? And then, and then brought it in. We brought it home. And let's see, we finished.
Oh,
at
the
511,
moose.
right? Wasn't that 511?
Remember the moose?
Oh, you were like, man, I want to see a moose. I want to see a moose.
My whole life there's been something.
You'd never seen a moose.
Yeah.
Something missing.
Other than a zoo, I've never seen a live moose. I mean,
he wouldn't give it up.
I know.
The whole trip.
We
and then finally we saw a moose.
Yeah, it was a mother moose with a little calf down over there. It was cool. I got to see my moose finally.
Now he wants to see another one.
And I think that's so we were we had done work and were sponsored by at one point by 511, and then I think we wrapped it up in that parking lot.
Oh yeah.
That
is where.
That's our first stop on the way out, where everybody stopped and checked their gear and did all that stuff to make sure that everything was riding right. Oh, that's right. When we left, my brother Brett from Castle Rock Fire. He was he arranged for fire escort out from the church, because we were at the
That's when we started.
That point, Plum Creek Church. Pastor came out, prayed over us, and then we hit the road with fire trucks leaving Castle Rock.
Yep.
Yeah. So then we finished
cool.
it. We finished at 511. The families were all there and all that stuff, and went in there.
Cool.
It's money. There's food, all that kind of stuff. So let's talk Harleys.
Oh, Harleys. We have the bike journeys.
One in particular, we're getting ready for a ride.
Right.
And we're going down 105.
I had
out of Castle Rock.
I had a smaller bike. I had a Softail. We were really a
big bike.
It's a Softail. It's not a 1,000-pound bike. It's a 400-pound bike.
More than that.
Whatever it is. And but that was my baby. I bought it in, I think, 2005, and I had that thing for like 13 years, and had that thing in mint condition till the day it was no longer. It ceased to exist on there. But I loved driving around in this thing. And by that particular time, a lot of the able shepherds, we all had bikes. So that we were riding constantly. And it could be just the two of us, or it could be a herd of us with two other trucks. Coming. We always wanted to be doing something adventure in there. And I'm not sure who called for that ride this one weekend. And it was you and Chad and myself who showed up for this ride. And I'm sporting I cleaned this bike, probably spent an hour before.
You polish your bike twice a day back then.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I had this thing, it was mint. This thing was absolute mint. And we were in Castle Rock. We were like Perry Parkway, my name Parkway. They named it after me. Yeah. And I remember we're just winding hills up and down. It was just so scenic, so beautiful. I just loved the whole deal. Chad's in front, I'm in the middle, you're right behind me. And as we come around some steep turn, which had no markings. Now it does have a lot of markings. Over there. It's a real sharp turn. But some snow, whatever it is, had melted onto the roadway and mixed with some of the oil and made it slick there. And a tree had shaded over us. I couldn't see the oil in there. So I just took this a little too sharp, and my bike literally just went right out from under me and went over this little ditch cliff on there. And nothing happened to me. I skidded 5 feet, got up.
5 feet?
He's standing there.
No, and by the grace of God, your bike took out the sign, like at road level.
Yeah.
That would have cut you in half.
I know, yeah. If I didn't fall, my bike went right, road sign over the embankment.
Yeah, now it's down in the ditch.
On the ditch. But we were back up. You almost ran me over. You literally I went left, my bike went right, poof, you went right down the middle.
I am a huge advocate of anti-lock brakes.
Yeah.
But it was like, whoa, like don't lock it up, and all that kind of stuff. And so on that wet spot, it looked like shade, and it was wet.
Yep.
And coming around, you go down and go out, and I'm like, oh, easy, just going through all of that stuff of don't freak out, make the corner, kickstand up, go scoop you up, right? And now you're over there, and then checking you, stay down, and help you up.
We're looking, now we get up on my bike, and you can see pieces of my bike, where my bike's finally at rest at the bottom over there. But there's the front fender, handlebar, whatever. My bike was gone.
That's an extremely sharp corner with not a lot. There's lights, everything now, because so many people have crashed on that corner.
Right.
Now there's blinking lights, warning, all that stuff. But I'm like, we've got to get out of here right now.
Right.
Because we're standing right there.
Yeah.
And when people come and see us, they're going to lock up.
Well, we
and
did.
It's just right when I'm like, we got to get out of here.
We're down at the bike. I'm on one side, you're on the other side of the bike, and we're seeing, is this fixable? Probably not. It wasn't. It was total over there. But as we're standing there, sure enough, another bike down that same glide slope that I went sliding. Right? Wasn't it?
That's what it is.
I mean, we were in the same tracks.
Yeah.
And sure enough, same thing, and bashes his bike right in his back. And you grabbed him.
No, when he comes through, you see him Harley, but more of like a smaller bike than yours, locks up the front tire. He goes down and just goes like I mean, he's like he's in a sleeping bag, and he's got his John J. Rambo utility jacket on because he's a Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
And he slides right into the curb and
into my bike,
I'm like jumping over his bike, it's coming in at the exact to hit your bike. So and it's not like he went right under me, but I'm like and it goes right here, slams into that, and then I'm like, we need to get something up. So I went back, got my bike, zipped around, put it up there with the flashers on, so at least people would hit the brakes. And then we just went and checked him. I'm like, stay down. And we caught back and checking him. Remember that dude? That salty old, he picked that bike up and rode it out of there.
We helped him.
It was like steering like this with like grass coming out of the thing. And he's like, we're good.
Handlebars this way, he's this way.
Got like bones sticking out here.
But he left. But he left.
Like, all right, man. He's like, hey, that's how we ride.
What was interesting about that?
Hey, back in Vietnam, that's how we do it.
So my bike's gone. I brought it to 100 different Harley dealerships.
Yeah.
If a frame was bent, everything was wrong with it. It was totally done. And I had always, and that bike was totally chromed out. Yeah, a chrome bike is such unbelievable maintenance. It takes you hours and hours. If you're going to want it like I wanted it to do that, I always said, if I'm going to get another bike, I'm going to get a touring bike. Because a soft tail, if we're going to do like lineage ride, something like that, it's too small. It would really, not as young as I used to be. And so it's going to really beat me up. And sure enough, since that bike got totaled, it was right before the lineage ride that I took the money I got for that bike and a whole lot more, and actually bought a big touring bike, a Street Glide Special.
And then you guys did that warm-up ride. Remember you did that test ride?
No, it was one more. I would buy the bike, and this is the bike I'm going to now take on the lineage ride. It's made for something like this. And then the salesperson says to me, okay, you need to put 1,000 miles on this bike, and then we need to change out all the fluids.
Right.
You can't just go 70 miles an hour for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's not good for the bike. You want to break that engine in correctly. So everyone stepped up. People called me almost every single day and said, Perry, I could ride with you from 2 to 4. I could do the morning 10:30 to 12. We got 1,000 miles in. We got a fluids change, and that bike was ready to go and did the lineage ride on that brand new bike.
Yeah. And the cool thing, so with your height, the weight of that bike, going from the smaller bike, which is a big bike, to a bigger bike.
It's so heavy.
One of the perks that Harley should actually advertise with those big old double pipes and side bags, when you lay it down, it's not all the way down.
Right.
And then it's easier for the people like those young men that you're like, you there, come pick up my bike, and they do. Like that New York, Florida thing, you just command people and they do what you
It's
age.
I think
it's
the age.
You, come here. They're like, I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Pick up this bike, and they did.
Yeah.
Like 15 times.
And this frustrated and little Abel Shepherd eyes. You're looking at them. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How can I help? How can I help?
Which rule applies? Like, don't talk to strangers or listen to your elders. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to do it. Number right.
Try to do it.
Yeah.
So good. So then, what else we got? So we wrote up some notes up here. So the BDRs. The funniest thing with the BDRs. So then you get a Raptor. You get the Raptor because you've had some vehicles. You have some fun stuff.
Yep.
And you do these rides with us as support. And I would do that with my son, is it come along for support. So those bikes, if they need something, it's the difference with freeze dried and steaks of just tap water or cold beer. Like that's the difference when you have a support vehicle. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if there's an emergency, and absolutely
just for shuttling.
Well, that was a potentially lifesaver.
Yes.
So on the California, that was just nasty.
Right.
And some of the guys were fine, and they would have made it. Their skill sets on that stuff. Other guys, it was such a challenge that they're down hard with heat exhaustion.
It wouldn't work.
And that was very, very bad.
So there are broken bones and all sorts of stuff.
It was bad. So on one of the BDRs, there was broken bones, and you had to come up and splint the guy and then get him off to the hospital.
That California one we had,
California was really bad.
2 heat strokes.
Yep. We're literally thinking about like medevac kind of situations.
Yeah.
Like, hey, just go. Just take them and go. But they were able to cool down and get them controlled. And then the other guys who were still mobile were riding bikes. And I think you've had a video of that rodeo.
I do,
I'm riding that guy's KTM through that.
It is deep sand.
Oh, deep sand.
Deep sand.
And it was all going good until it isn't. And then you see me go over the handlebars.
Yeah. And my truck loves sand.
Yeah.
Loves the Baja sand.
Yeah.
It was like, it was great. So that would happen a lot, where they just the riders didn't have the ability to get through the sand. So I would take them to where everyone was, get Everett,
To go get their bikes.
go get their bike,
Yeah.
jump on my tail.
Yeah. And people were like, it's like, hey, what's the big deal? There's this, chick and she weighs this much and she can ride an adventure bike with 9 days of stuff. And that's
Right.
the thing. You're
Yeah,
so
yeah. Oh, yeah,
heavy.
yeah.
I'm like, go get her. This dude can't do that. Like, I'll tell you what I can do is go get your bike. I'll get it here, but I'm going to drop it 15 times.
Absolutely.
And, there'll be like veins popping out everywhere and I'm going to
Yeah.
be spent and I'm going to
It's like
go
almost
up and suck my thumb tonight.
It's almost like watching a rodeo.
It
where
was.
I'm in my Raptor. I got whoever else,
Yeah.
Smitty or somebody, like next to me, and we're screaming
Yeah.
to you. Come on, go for
You
it!
got
Jimmy.
it, you got it,
Go
you
get-
got
you
it,
got it! You got it! Get back up again! Get back up again!
Time.
Or Smitty, go pick him up.
Yeah.
Go get the bike up again.
Yeah, suck
okay.
it
All right,
up.
well,
Let's
another
go.
shot at it.
Yeah, and we were like, then we were just after you were just glad to be alive. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
It's like getting jumped in the gang, but really hot.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And that was day one. Remember?
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the first day.
I know, yeah.
Like, they didn't get moisture, which means the sand didn't have any consistency. So it's just powder, and pea gravel is this deep.
Yeah.
And now it's like you go, fall over,
Yeah.
and you have to knock your bike over, and then fill in the sand, then stand it up, and then try to get on your foot pegs
Yeah.
to distribute weight so you'll grab. But then it goes, Mark. Like, oh, well, that's a lot of work for 5 feet times a day, right?
But
and that was just I think that was buds. That was to see people ring out.
I know.
After that, well, it got worse actually.
Well, but I think these BDRs, these adventures that we go on, that's the purpose of that. Is how many people went through that experience?
Yeah,
Not a lot. I would imagine.
And it is, and it's a people thing. And Gary Ellis knows this from the first ride we did. We had a 12,000 mile motorcycle ride, that ride from Lance to Virginia Beach, Virginia, Alaska, and back, right? And it was all over the place. It wasn't straight lines. But one of the things we realized really quickly that if you can't push through the people aspect, people
Yes.
will like piss you off
Yeah.
on a level that's just like, what is wrong? Because you're also tired.
Yeah.
You're also got a way that you think you should do it, and all this stuff's going on. And I remember here was my
Let me
this
share.
is the point that I'm about to start stabbing people. I remember this because my brother's with me. Remember Steve?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're getting ready to go do this thing. And
Stephen Everett always took off.
yeah. No, it wasn't Steve. Steve was kind of behind effort, but who else was up? I forget. But they go to pass, and it's not a wise pass. It's a semi.
Okay.
Other vehicles
Oh, yeah,
were
yeah,
way
yeah,
back
yeah,
in the
I get
stack. And this is what I know to be true. If Jimmy goes, Perry's going to follow him.
Absolutely.
You're not going to check and see if it's safe. You're just going to go. If Jimmy's going, I'm going to go.
I
But
stay
that's
in the
not
middle.
how you're supposed to
I stay
drive.
in the middle of the.
Right?
I trust the Navy SEAL in front of me
to drive my truck while he's on his bike. Probably not the. Anyways, so love it. I love you.
We did it.
So
We're alive.
I look out and I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't good. I see them go, right? And I see one of them pin it and the other one pins it, and here they go. And when we go out there, I see cars coming, and there's no making it. You're not going to make it. Excuse me. Everett could have made it, but he got a high-speed wobble
Yes.
while he was doing it. So he
Death
pins
wobble.
it, goes over, and this death wobble with a fully loaded bike this big, gypsy camp on the back, right? So he's going, it's like tack, 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 tack. So he has to come off of it. So I see him go, and I'm like, not going to make it because for whatever reason, he didn't advance.
Come back in.
And I go back in because Perry will go, and then we're even if I don't get killed, whatever. And then I see him go, not make it, tuck back in a car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what
That
just
was-
happened?
that was
Because I'm not
close.
seeing
Yeah, that was
I'm not
close.
seeing metal and glass,
was
right?
close, yeah.
But the dude, a young kid, because I looked up, I'm like, snapshot, young dude with his eyes this big left the road to not hit them. So he was still between on the lines. They all were. And then they pinned it, and they're like, yeah, that's. I'm like, we're done here. And I'm like, probably not saying kind things.
Wow.
And at that point, I told my,
Yeah.
because we did trailers and all that stuff. I go, I know where Colorado is. This ride's over.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm telling my brother, like, we're not doing this.
Yeah,
I don't
this-
want to
yeah,
do
this is too
Right,
dangerous.
so, anyways, and from that day of almost, they're like, we're going to go camping. And I'm like, you know why you're going to go camping? Because you didn't carry your own bike through the day.
Right.
I did. I'm going to go to a hotel. Right? So then it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we went
yeah,
and did that.
right.
And then we all met up and made peace and broke bread and like, okay. Let's
But
just,
the one better part is where the frustration was there, where I think everyone wanted to maybe change the route a little bit. Everyone was spent and frustrated and exhausted. It was so hot. Everyone was so tired. And everyone has a different opinion. I'm sitting in my Raptor. And I noticed that Jimmy is kind of off to the side and letting everyone just go through what they have to go through. And they're like, I think we should go here. I think we should go there. I'm sitting in this car for a long time already, this truck. I'm 20 minutes, a half hour I'm here. Finally, turn the thing off. I step out of my truck and I start walking toward the guys, and everyone's very heated over there. And all of a sudden I hear, a whistle, and there's a Jimmy whistle. Jimmy developed a certain frequency whistle. It's called a Perry whistle. Parker has adopted it as well also now. But Jimmy has this Perry whistle where it's like, Perry, stop whatever you're doing and come to me right now. So with that, I turn recourse, redirect. I go over to Jim. I go, Jim, what's going on? He says, Perry, listen, the last person they're going to want to hear from is the guy in the air-conditioned Raptor. I said, good call. Good call.
They're covered in sweat. They picked up a heavy bikes about 55 times. They're like, they think they slipped a disc.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone's
they're thinking
broken.
of their wife and kids that they're just like, hey, that's a good option right now. And you want to come up, basically with your ham cutlet or your cutlet that you got from the store.
I got
like,
deli
hey,
meat.
you want some? Remember when you walked up the thing, you go, do you want pastrami? And I'm like, you've really, and you had a meat tray.
Yeah,
I'm like, where is there a meat tray option on a BDR? Like, we're in the mountains.
I got a whole deli platter.
Yeah, remember, because this is what you do, and tell me if I'm wrong. You go there and you go, I need snacks, come with me. And the guy goes, what am I doing? And the guy's carrying it.
100%.
And he's loading stuff.
Yes.
Or 511, I need things, come with me. And the guy is like, I work here, but I don't really do that.
Yeah.
But now he's carrying your stuff, and you got $1,000 worth of gear on the counter.
Yeah.
And he's like, this isn't that kind of store. And you're like, well, come here, I need socks.
If they know you've spent money there before, if you ask, they do.
You just told them, and they just didn't know what to do, so they end up...
They bring stuff.
Well, and I've probably, and this is just all transparency rating, I've probably talked harder to you two than anybody in this program
Absolutely.
ever. Right?
Yeah,
And
but
agreed?
this is
the thing.
That's what we
if
needed.
you can figure out the people thing, not that I did it right, but if you can figure that out and go through that trip, you get to the end.
Absolutely.
And the end is insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's not just, hey, this was an adventure. We saw some things. We saw the dude. We did all that. Hey, we rode across the state because it's south to north, across the state. What you're really thinking, say out loud, is I put up with this enough to get to the really good part.
Right.
Like bringing it in, or the one with the two of us have dislocated shoulders. Remember that? And you're resetting the
Reggie,
shoulders.
yeah.
Me and Reggie.
I
remember we got the Coors Lights were laying there, and we both have ice packs on it.
Yeah.
When you reset his, everybody heard it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
it sucked right back in.
Yeah. He's like, oh, and you're like, hold on. And we're like, oh my. Like,
And your knee too.
Oh, that was the hardest that I've ever hit.
I remember when you were I get a radio. We all had radios.
Mm-hmm.
In my truck, you were like, Perry, come to me now. I'm hurt. Come to me now. Oh, you're right. Drop everything. And you were hurt.
Yeah, I remember dumping, whose bike was it? It was Elliot. Elliot's bike, and I smacked hard. Not as hard as the last one, but I smacked hard. And I laid there doing the whole, Control-Alt-Delete, like I'm going to start over, wiggle toes, wiggle fingers. Yeah. And I hear gas pouring out of his motorcycle in the sand, and I don't care. I'm like, it's a glove. I'm like, so pissed right now. Like, that whole collect yourself and all that. And you were supposed to be behind me, and you went off with Reggie trying to get through the thing. No, not Reggie. It was the other guy. The guy that, I don't know what he paid when he turned that Tenere in, but he should have just bought it. It's like, remember that?
No,
he rented the Tenere. Great dude. We hit it off, and I can't remember his name, but it was Reggie's buddy. Rented a Yamaha Tenere.
Yeah.
And man, that thing took a licking and kept on ticking.
Yeah.
And I was like, brother, you might just want to walk in and just buy it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to charge you when you come back and.
Yeah, there's pieces of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got it. It was like this when I took it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, remember, you told me that by the end of the ride, you have enough spare parts in the back of your truck.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah.
To build another bike.
That's true. That's true. Every bike with a fall came a fender, a grip, a something, and all of a sudden, was it you or Everett? All of a sudden, look in the back of my pickup, and there's pieces of everyone's bike there, and said, "You should open up a business, Perry's Parts and Pieces."
We had remember the gas stop. Mm-hmm. So this is the. So you've got a shiny bike that has to be operated and all that stuff. So the way I get around that is I take my blue shiny bike from BMW, because I got sponsored by BMW, and I'm buying the bike for a steal back in 2010, and got this thing. And I just basically finished everything off, prepped it, and painted it flat dark earth with a gun coating. So it's awesome. I wash that about every 3 years.
Yes.
Because I don't care. It's like, and that thing, that GS is a tractor, and I've abused that thing, and she just keeps giving.
Right.
But now it's a subdued tactical flat dark earth, Able Shepherd badges, and all that kind of stuff. And the major flaw that with BMW and that thing is the gas The gas tank, it's I don't know. I've been through 5 of them, and for a while they just said keep bringing it back, and I'm like, this is horrible. And they would just switch it, and then that ended and whatever. Now you just got to guess when there's gas. So I've got extra gas now on there, but back then it was like just fill up at every stop. I got a bigger tank than
Was
a lot
that
of
the
them.
same bike that you took on the or the different bike that you took on the Lineage, right?
Lineage ride. Right.
Yeah, because remember what happened the very first.
That's what I'm getting at.
segment?
It's like we left, and I was like, I got more gas than all of you, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to fill up. But I don't remember that because you usually fill up at every one.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
You remember what
I'm like,
happened?
Please God, don't let this bike, because I'm thinking mechanical,
Yeah.
and it's gas. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we're heading to the gas.
Yeah, that's
station.
our very
And it was
first
like,
segment.
I was like, I'm good. I got to be good because I filled up
Yeah.
2 stops ago, and it was like,
Yeah.
we pull up, I'm like, we're checking everything. We're like, is it gas? I'm like, it can't be. Whoops! And then you pull out a gas
Yeah,
can.
who's got
it's
the
a
gas
vehicle.
can?
Glug, 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 glug,
Right,
glug.
yeah.
And it's- woo, we can see the exit. Woo, we can
Let's
see
get
the
gas
exit.
real
It was
quick.
like,
yeah, the exit was
oh,
right there. Yeah.
So hence the support vehicle. And I've got canisters that are back in the back.
With each BDR, when I take my Raptor on there, I add more emergency equipment to it.
And you also take it to the repair shop afterwards.
Oh, definitely. I definitely keep up with the bikes part of the way. But no, I just feel frustrated that I've got the skill and the talent to help. I don't have the equipment. Just like having the med packs, the trauma packs that we're handing out at Able Nation.
You got to give a shout out to, what's the recovery dude?
Matt's off-road recovery. I got addicted to this guy.
You bought all that stuff, remember? When I pull it out, like-
the kinetic ropes on there. Anything you could possibly buy, because I was thinking truck repair, pull, things out with this whole thing. I didn't think medical stuff, so I bought like everything. And then every time someone would say, "All right, we're going to need this piece of equipment to get out of this very weird and very rare situation that's." I said, "I think I have two of those."
You go, I have 2. And that was, remember when
They're still in the box.
Which truck slid into the mud sideways? And you're like, I don't know. I just hand Everett
Eric.
stuff. So you just hand Everett stuff?
Had to pull Eric
Remember?
out of the mud.
Yeah, that was Eric.
His whole truck buried.
So you went and you started handing Everett.
Yeah.
Because you said this, Everett knows how to do stuff.
Yeah.
I know how to buy stuff. So I've got all this stuff. I just handed Everett.
I
And
said,
then
Everett, what's this? What's that? Yeah.
And he's like plugging in the winch.
He says,
it's all in the plastic. So you're busting out like, what's this doing? He plugs it in.
He goes,
and then he
you-
goes,
he
you
says-
back up.
says-
Then he's like, Jimmy, you back up my truck because I don't know how to do this. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah. No, Everett's saying, like, see if you have 2 more pulley things so I can get a 3 thing in there.
Oh my
I said,
God, I got that.
I got 5, I think. Onto this whole deal. And he goes, what about your winch? I said, well, I definitely have a winch. I don't think it's ever been used. He goes, well, do you have the remote for it?
You're like, there's a remote.
Hold on, yeah. We'd rather replace the batteries. And then all of a sudden I'm standing, I don't know nothing about any of this stuff. And all of a sudden Everett looks at me and says, Perry, I wouldn't stand there if I were you. I said, why? He says, that's called the dangerous, the triangle of danger, death over there. So I left that whole area. I'm standing on a rock.
That's enough. I don't want to hear about trucking.
And sure enough, that we pulled Eric's truck right out of them on nothing. My truck didn't budge.
Yeah. And what happened right after that? Matt broke his collarbone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then
we get a call.
Hiked in with some
we got a
stuff,
call.
Walked him out. Yeah, we got a call while we were leaving. Came back, hiked in, walked him out, splintered it up, got him back to you. You got heading that way, hiked back into his bike, and then I rode it back to get it trailered. But I mean, that was the adventure. I mean, he wasn't seriously hurt. But it's like
I made that plug for Matt's off-road recovery, but we needed an off-road recovery. We had to hire because my truck only got us part of the way. And then he had to use his crawler.
Trip. You're
Was that a
talking about
different one?
Moab.
Oh, Moab.
That
yeah.
Moab, that Raptor with that borrowed trailer, the dude we hired was like, these vehicles will not make it any further. Then we saw it, we're like, there's no way.
Yeah,
Nothing we have will make it back there. That was impressive. So middle of the night, my nephew's back, I don't know, 5 miles. My brother's back another 7. But it's not like 5 then 7, it's 5 at a crawl over this stuff that I didn't even know was possible.
Oh, yeah.
And then with a trailer.
It was on that one.
Remember, because I got a young nephew that got a bike that was not recommended for that. It was, but anyways, we get back there. He hit an oil pan so hard, and he's a good rider, so he's pushing it.
He's very good.
And he slams his oil pan and busts it, and there's oil all over the desert, and he's sitting back there. 18 years old, middle of the night.
Yeah.
And then here we come, and he's out there for hours,
Yeah.
and then these lights hit him and all this noise, and I say, "You can't park park there.
He's so young. He's so young. He crashed the bike and fell asleep.
Yeah, he's rocked out.
Until you guys got there.
Then we get his bike out, and then we got to go back to get Steve, who's
Right.
deeper in there.
Much
and
deeper.
that was like some kind of freak show because we get out there, and he's like, well, he started getting dressed, but he's like, it was so hot, he's laying out there in his skivvies.
Yeah.
And we get out there, and he's getting all the stuff back on. He's like, hey, and then we load back up. And
We got it. Because we had a trailer behind it.
10-hour ordeal to recover those 2 bikes out of Moab.
Yeah.
But that's really the test. You're testing yourselves, right? And, everybody's tired, they're hot. And that tests the man in you.
Yeah.
Like, can I endure and still get along with all these guys? And you all grew tremendously.
Yeah, and you don't realize how
Besides
much you've matured.
regrowing bones and stuff.
How much you've matured until after, way after, where you're now sharing those stories from a place where I was there. I did that. You really did that. Wow. It was like when I followed you guys on bikes through the tunnel.
Oh, yeah, the tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
in California, like into
so
the rock.
another ride.
Through a cave.
And but
And you're
anywhere there were bikes would go ahead further than my truck and go right away. But if it was going to be a decision, go this way or that way, one bike would stay at that T, at that fork in the road, and say, we're going this way. There was no, I took a lot of turns until I get all the way up to this plateau, and there's a couple of Wranglers over there, and then no one spoke English. One's from Germany, there's other ones from China over there, and I'm trying to ask them, where did the bikes go? Where are on the motorcycles? And they went into hole. They went into hole.
Well, there's no way he's gonna just hang out. He'll hang out. Here comes Perry.
So this other guy, he's looking at the hole, at this cave hole, and looking at my truck, and my truck's got some girth. It's wider than a normal,
than mine,
an F-150 on there. So he's looking. He goes, "I think you fit." I said, "Will you spot me?"
You're like, there you have it.
On there. So sure enough, I maybe had 10 inches on each side and maybe 10 inches on top. And I was able to navigate all through that. I get halfway through the whole thing, but a quarter of a mile in on there. And you guys are coming back the other way.
It's like, how are you going to turn around? And you're like, that's a problem for later.
I know. And I
what?
did.
Who cares?
We did it. We did. And that was
And
one.
like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You like just kind of told the guy to do it, and I was walking in front of your truck. You don't know him. He's like, he's trying to visit the country. He's like,
I know.
He's doing his told.
He finally bolted on me. I would have had him spot me the whole way.
Get back up there. Get up there.
Yeah. Not a scratch on my truck.
Remember, so this is another great story. Remember when
Not
we're
that
staying at
time.
that campground right off of, it's over there off the river.
Okay.
It's right off the
yeah.
Platte.
Oh my God.
We go out there, and it's a what do we call it? A shakeout ride.
Oh,
So we're sleeping
yeah.
overnight. We're doing all that
That's
stuff.
a different one. Yeah.
And it's probably about 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's cold.
Yeah.
And everybody in there. It's not just us. Campground. And all of a sudden you hear this tuned exhaust. Bah, 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 and you jump in and turn the heat on.
Yeah. There's no way. I'm in this little.
I'm going to tell like, oh my, we're officially those campers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I go over there, I'm like, dude, what the? And I go open the door, it's like steam comes out, and Everett's right next to you. He's sitting there too, like, yeah, it's cold. Like, I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, you're supposed to keep him in check.
My camping experience prior to that is a 40-foot Winnebago that's completely self-sustained on there. I think one of the 5 times I've camped was with starting to Able Shepherd, where I could pitch a tent and actually where I can actually pitch a tent now, and I can actually get a good night's sleep in there.
That's amazing.
That would never have happened without this program.
Yeah.
And these adventures and this building of skills and talents and traits, and leave a lot of the garbage
darn
from
neat.
behind.
You remember the one cool thing that popped in my head right now is remember at Brave, the security team would be over there prepping and do all this stuff, and then you launched the communications thing and all that network. But I mean, so much is launched out of that. But we're standing over there, and guys would walk up, and I used to make fun of them. It's like animals when they come over and they go, "Is it safe?" So we would be talking, and there's a bunch of guys. It's almost like they walked up and they're like, "Those guys look pretty cool, but I'm not sure." And I would spot
what are they
them,
doing? Yeah.
And I'd go like this. Hey, what's up, brother? Come on in. Do you know Jimmy? How you doing?
Yeah,
and then you just suck them in, and then
suck
just pull
'em
them in. So then next week they just come over and be like, hey, can I be on the team? Like, sure, of course. So they'd be out there just lurking, and you could spot them. And then we started doing that. Like, I'm like, Jimmy Graham, how you doing? I just pull them, and they'd be like, oh, what's going on? You know Tim? You know? And then we just start growing, and then the team started getting bigger. That was super cool. And then
Tim could work a room.
Yeah.
We were in a temple. We were in a temple, you and I, and all of a sudden everyone's just mingling, and I see all of a sudden Tim's like talking to this guy and this guy. He's part of the security. He's part of the comms. He's part of this, and all of a sudden, boom! Now they're in the network.
Yeah, exactly.
He caught another one.
Yeah, it's just a lot of years. It was like reel them in, and now it's just taking on a life of its own,
Yeah. So, and now you're both your sons are grown.
Yep.
And I remember, so my daughter's little girls were flower girls at Sam, your son's wedding.
Right.
Remember that? And that was was it Bell Mountain Ranch?
No, it was a private ranch on South Lake Gulch Road.
So awesome.
And that was. I remember can we be in a wedding? Remember that? It's like, oh yeah, Sam and Lise are going to get married. And so I don't know if it was you or they asked, and Sam and Lanice said, "Yeah, sure."
I don't even know how they knew Lanice, but she asked them to. I don't know, but it was like they were little bitty, and I remember that.
Yeah.
And then Sam had done some training, and I get a text from him one day. I remember this, and he said, "Active shooter in my building, pray." And I was like, "Ooh."
This is when he was working downtown Denver.
Downtown off Wine Creek.
At what's the name of it? It's a high-end vacation company for millionaires, but I can't remember the name of it. But he was working downtown, and right after he texted you, he texted me. And so I was thinking about heading downtown because I wasn't there at the time. But there was an active shooter in his building, not at the company that he was at, but within the building.
Yeah.
And he headed out the back door and down to the sidewalk, and then he texted you and said, "What do I do?"
No, he texted me from the top.
Oh,
because after I asked him, I said, "What was going on?" And then so afterwards, I was like, "Were you scared?" We just went through a little debrief thing.
Right.
He texted me, and he kind of went. He put a guy watching the stairs. Awesome. He watched the elevator. Awesome. And I don't know if I say this or not. I was like, "Are you armed?" And I won't say what he said, but I'll just say he stood there, and everybody got behind him, and then whatever. And he's like, I wasn't nervous. I was like, if this, then this. If this, then this.
And that was the Able Shepherd training. He
To
never
get-
got
to
his
get-
cert, but
to
he
get-
did take the
confident, and it
training.
was really cool because he was like,
Yeah.
I was confident enough, and everybody knew that he kind of took charge, and they just set it up.
Yep.
And then what it ended up being, it was that they said active shooter. It was a murder-suicide. A guy, so he came in and shot his wife right in the office, and then shot himself. But then they called active shooter, locked everything down.
Yeah.
So everybody on every floor is like, what do we do? Like all that kind of stuff. And again, the truth showed up. It's like, can I defend myself? Most of the buildings, like, no, I'm going to.
And he was calm, cool, and collected. He had the training, and he did what was necessary.
In his mind, the Able Shepherd mantra is to get to them, you got to come through. You got to get through me.
Right.
And that's not going to happen.
Yeah. The textbook, like from CIA, all that stuff would be between the package and the greatest threat. Or
Right.
translate for me. Get to them, you got to go through me.
Yes.
Right?
And Sam stepped up.
Yeah. And then your son with the medical that you helped him with the EMT, EMS, got all
Yeah,
that
yeah. He
stuff.
decided he wanted.
And
I was a
accurate.
paramedic, so he wanted to be a paramedic. He wanted to have the daddy stories. So he took off and moved to Atlanta, settled at Grady Hospital, which is an incredible trauma center, and did that for 5 years. Blew his back out, and then came back. Now he's going to go to PA school.
Nice.
He's about
Good,
to
good.
start school now.
That's fantastic.
And jumped right back in the program, and boom, Able Shepherd 256.
256. Nice.
So now we've got father son.
Yep.
And there's a lot of similarities between Jake and Sam too.
Get Sam back
The
in here.
stature,
I can't,
he's
almost
got
every
babies
time
now.
he's got 2 kids, and he's the furthest thing is from his mind.
Yeah.
But I keep on reminding him every single time.
Yeah.
You need to really go back and take that test one final time.
He's a
and pass.
hoss, man.
He's like this big and this big, and
Yeah, we got
it's all
good-
muscle. He works out every day.
Both great guys.
We
And
have
he
great
shoots
we have
really
great, we have
fast.
great kids.
And Jake is the same way. He's not as big as Sam, but
Great kids.
he's got fantastic reflexes,
Yes,
and he shoots
yes.
like super fast.
Yes.
That's
Pretty
awesome.
neat. Yeah.
The I want to close with like the Murph, and I want to talk a little bit about so on Memorial Day has been kind of a big thing for us. You don't have to do the Murph. You can do the Murph. You can. So the Murph is roughly mile. It is exactly mile run. Get this right. 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, mile run. And you can raise all right. Yeah.
With
So
a
that-
20-pound plate.
Or you can do
With or without, I guess, right?
weighted vest or body armor for what they call prescription, and in CrossFit they call it prescription. Now you can scale that and do as little as you want on the memorial. It's
Right.
more about it's you in a cowboy hat,
That's
out there,
right.
and a bunch of guys coming out there and just having it's red, white, and blue. It's America. It's about the day of Memorial Day. We talk about Michael Murphy, but then we explain what that day is and make sure the kids know all that, and then we just have a good time, right? And take a group picture and all that stuff. So that's another big.
We have huge crowds showing up.
So good.
Oh, and who's the guy that brings out the military giant truck?
Yeah, it hasn't been out Shell. Shell has a huge military truck that was the backdrop for a picture for a couple years, and it was down.
How many people did
it's
we
got
have in front
got
of
6
that?
batteries or something that cost way too much, and I was like, oh, it's down right now. So we're trying to get him to get it back out there. But
We just had so many people there.
yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
And then this year, so it was kind of this ties into what I was talking to Tyler about when I came in here, is that this year we're going to do the Chad 1000. So it's a Chad 1000. I don't know if it's new or not because I just learned about it. So Chad Wilkinson, Navy SEAL, good buddy of mine, my sniper pair buddy in sniper school.
Wow.
Right, a couple platoons. He's actually in that picture right there. Actually, that's my first platoon plaque that Seth pulled out, and he put it up there. Took his own life.
Oh my God.
So Navy SEAL, SEAL 226, hero by anybody's count because one Silver Star, and I just saw Jocko. I was coming here for whatever reason, and I looked up the Chad 1000 because we're planning out the year, we're looking at all that stuff, and Chad 1000 is box steps. I think it's 20 or 24 inches, I don't remember, but step it up 1,000 times with a vest on, and our group on Veterans Day, we're going to set this up, meet somewhere. You can break it up. You can do whatever, 100, whatever. It's just challenge yourself, like pushing through a physical barrier for this thing, and it's a fundraiser for this foundation. So
Right.
when I'm learning about it, I saw something pop up, and I was like, Chad 1000. And I get so much stuff. You're like, whatever. And then for whatever reason, I clicked on it, and I saw Sarah, like his wife, and I was like, what the? And it's been, what year did we say it was? Maybe 18? It wasn't that long ago. I was like 18 or so. It was before the lineage ride. So anyways, I remember hearing about it and would have when I had something going on or I heard about it after, I forget. And I didn't really believe it. You know what I mean? Because it's just that guy that's good at everything. Beautiful wife, teenage kids and all that stuff, and they find him in his car. Right? So that
It doesn't make sense.
Well, and I think the guilt too of like, why didn't we stay connected?
Right.
That thing, it's just life happens, and it's not a huge deal until it is. And then you're like, dang it, because maybe something I'm doing could have. You just don't know when you start.
What's
planning for this
under that we don't see?
Right. So as I'm learning about it, I touch that deal and I see a Jocko podcast. And as I push play, he starts reading one of his awards. He starts the interview with Sarah Wilkinson by reading his award, like the Silver Star. Well, he picked that one and read that one, and it's great because it was a combat thing and he was a hero and all this other stuff. But what he didn't read was in one of the incidents, he was the guy in a helicopter crash. Like, when you say, who's your hero? And we do a thing in the book and we say, I choose my heroes. Don't tell me who my heroes are. Because hero is kind of relative, kind of. And I said, well, when you start praying about that and ask about it, I realized very quickly that my definition of a hero is somebody who saved or changed my life. You saved my life or you changed my life significantly. That moment you realize your wife's your hero. Your kids are your heroes, right? You're like, they're my heroes by definition. So when you say, hey, some people would say you're not a hero because he just did his job. And to an extent, I would agree. But I would also say he's a hero. Why? What's another definition of hero would be, do you have an award that says hero on it? Because I know he got an award from the president for saving a life, for attempting to save, because I was there, and when I got the helicopter crash, when I jumped up and looked in, it was that dude right there and another guy, Chris, and they were in a burning helo trying to free a trapped crewman.
Wow.
Right, and a helo doesn't look as big until it's on its side, and you're looking down, and everybody's yelling, "It's going to blow up! Get out of there!" And they don't. Right, and that's a pretty big deal. And they're trying to get him out, and they never freed him. They did get some people out, got him out, got some other people out. The pilot had his back broken. We carried him up the mountain, did all this other stuff. We were digging for him, and until fire literally said you're going to burn up, did they get out? Right, so then you get a medal from the president that says you're a hero. It says for heroism, and then he takes his own life. So that's the thing when I saw it, I'm like, we're doing this now. So this Veterans Day, whoever cares to participate will set this up and say, hey, meet us here.
That's awesome.
Likely be in I don't even know, a gym of a church or something like that. We'll have step up boxes and all that stuff. We'll crank some music, talk about what it is and say go. And whoever cares to do it, we'll do it. We'll raise some money and then give back again.
And like everything else, we're in.
By definition, we're in, Perry.
right.
We're always in,
Yeah.
right?
Volunteer
That's
for
awesome.
everything.
Awesome.
Everything, yeah.
And just support where you can, do what you can, and we're not asking anybody to do anything crazy. Just be there and just show up. Like many times you guys have, and thank you for that.
Right.
You showed up, man.
Right.
You showed up.
Yeah. Well, that's
It's just like we're in it for the journey.
Yeah.
You know?
What the next you and the chick from Frozen, what do you guys saying?
no. That came from a lot of time you and I spent together.
I know.
You know, where he would say, "Yeah, where are we going? Where are we going?" I said, "You want to know something? Just do the next right thing, and God will lead you exactly where you need to go, not where you want, where you need to go." And thank God, it's been
And
perfect.
so many times in this program, I'm still on the sugar high from the last thing, and we're already on the next thing.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Like we talk about this with Melissa. Like we just finished this epic thing, and you're already planning the next thing. You're like, wait, I need to process this one.
Right.
You know, and it's you don't even have time before now you're all fired up on the next one, right? And we're still here.
We say it's going to mushroom out, but we've passed that mushroom already. We're on to the second, third tier mushroom.
Yeah. It's just
If I can, I would go back to the whole idea about community and the whole COVID thing. Yeah. You know, I almost
it's
died
important.
3 times in 2 days from COVID. I was, 3 weeks in a coma, 2 months in the ICU, 5 weeks in the second hospital, 3 weeks in the third hospital, and then a year on oxygen after that. And so this group really came together. It was you guys, a lot of my political buddies, the churches.
We held vigils.
Everybody. It was an amazing story. God literally saved me out of my deathbed. And one of the photos that I have is when I was able to recertify. And you were here, Jason. You just happened to be here on that day. It was in January. And I got recertified after all of that stuff that happened. I thank God every day for this community, not just a training, but, for the community. They came together. People donated money. My son Sam set up an account, paid off my medical bills and a little bit extra. It was an amazing thing. And I remember in 2022 at that MRF, I did a half MRF. And I was really slow. Remember that? Remember that you came up in your vehicle? And
how long do you have to go to the gym even to test? Because you were going to the gym regularly to get up, even the muscles to get up and move to shoot.
Oh, yeah. So I started back at the gym in late July or early August of 2021. And really in September, everything changed. So I started about late July, early August. By September, I started shooting with Perry. We went almost every day.
Every day we were shooting.
And I was so thankful for the muscle memory. I couldn't believe.
We were breaking records.
Well, I was breaking my own records. That's for
Unbelievable.
sure.
No, it was amazing.
So, it was amazing how that training and that muscle memory kicked in after the nerve damage, which I still have. It was amazing. And then I got back to work and I started riding my motorcycle all in September. And then the next January, I tested and recertified. And I remember the other time, it was when Parker and you and I would say, hey, can I go to the HQ and, watch one of the drills? And I'm still on oxygen. I'm carrying around my bottle and stuff, And so
the crowd's growing. So now we have Parker Mansour, Able Shepherd number 019, General Manager, Director of Training. So it's growing. It's like 9:30 at night, and we're gaining people.
Yeah, right. It's like
magnets. It was so funny. It was kind of comical, but there I was, just barely being able to get up the steps to the catwalk. And I think you carried my bottle up and you carried the bottle down or something like that, And I said, I'm watching this and everything. And I said, yeah, I got to get back. And that was one of my motivational factors. I was saying, I have got to get back to the gym. I've got to get my strength back up. I've got to recertify.
And what was your call sign given to you?
So we've got the picture of that too. You took the picture. Everybody, I told my story. Everybody thought it was pretty incredible. They said, let's get a picture. So right in front of the Able Shepherd sign, and that's where you gave me the call sign Lazarus. Yeah. So, and then I tell a lot of people, it's on my Signal app for Brave Church, and people say, what's Lazarus all about? And I said, well, You got some time? But it's a Holy Spirit story. It's just amazing.
And it's not that I don't have faith, but you were. I'm like, he's going home.
Yeah.
Like, we were like, God, if it's your will, keep him here. But if it's your will, that you might be taking him and all that. And I remember that vigil where they called me. I had COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm like, rub some dirt on it, man. Like I can't. Like I did. It was like everybody was like doing all the stuff, and Rachel's like, hey, we're not doing test shots, doing all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I don't want to get you sick though. So everybody was out there with their candles, and I parked in the back, and I bought that little reflective thing on my deal, and we're all praying. Mm-hmm. And some guys came over and were like, hey guys, I can't smell or taste anything, but just stay. And they're like where Tyler is, and when they're just talking, so we're praying and doing all that stuff. And there's all these people. They're like, Jim, man, I'm like honking, but I'm like, hey, whatever.
And then the rabbi story.
This like Dr. Saul.
Yeah, this is amazing. So many
tell
people.
What to do. Just amazing.
There's just so much love for Tim. Like he was not gonna go without a fight from us.
Perry wasn't letting me go
on there. So we held nightly vigils in the parking lot, looking at his window in the hospital, and we were there really late one night. And I'm looking at it, it's completely dark, and all of a sudden I see one light go on. Now all of a sudden all the lights in the room are on. And I went, hey guys, something either really good or really bad is happening right now. And now we're really praying, we're really just dumping God, like,
and it was
this
really
is a time. So no, it was your minister.
Well, that was part of that whole scene where Mike Pohemus was there, my son was there, and the two doctors.
But I had someone next to me and said, no, his pastor, his minister, whoever it was. Yeah. And all of a sudden I look at that, I said, clergy can go into the hospital? They go, yeah. I said, okay, that's the only information I needed. I showed up the next afternoon.
That was Sunday.
My beard was really long back then. My beard was like down to here. Mm-hmm. It was Hanukkah. It was during Hanukkah. Yeah. So I actually show up at the hospital at the reception area.
In full regalia.
Well, and that was COVID, so instead of masks, we all had like
the shema,
right, which looks like a tallis, a Jewish prayer shawl on there. So I had my yarmulke on. I had a little menorah.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah. So I went over and
I
said, yeah, hi, it's Rabbi Saul to see Tim Brown. He goes, who are you? I said, I'm Tim's rabbi. Perry Saul.
Everybody thought I had converted to Judaism.
You're like, wait a minute, he goes to my church.
No, I said it's already
moonlighting.
I said it's already been cleared with the doctors and nurses. I'm going to have to call the nurses station. So he goes, listen, we've got this rabbi, Perry Saul down here. He says it's Tim's rabbi. Wants to come up and, I don't know, spend some spiritual time with him. Send him up. So each day, throughout the day, I made so many visits. The floor would call me, hey, doctor, hey, doc, hey, rabbi, hey, rabbi, hey, rabbi, how you doing? But what's interesting about this whole deal is he's in a medically induced coma. I mean, he is out for the count. The doctors are really, it infuriates me, is they were waiting for him to die because someone else needed that bed, that respirator, that ventilator.
Yeah, and you kicked a nurse out.
And there was nurses out there like, oh my God, how much longer is he going to hang on with? I said, first of all, I got words for you two. Get out of this room right now. Those words are not spoken. So I would sit by Tim's side and share stories and let him know how loved he was and what he's built, and you're going to get through this. And it's not you alone. This is all of us.
It's the community.
This is the community of heaven and earth coming together to make sure it's not your time. It's not your time. Yeah. And we're both in tears through the whole deal. Tim, sure enough, pulls through the whole deal. God bless us all with that. And then many times afterwards, all of a sudden, Tim would sit and goes, remember the second time when you came in and we talked about that he remembered and heard and remembered every conversation. So
while I was in
a coma. So if people say, does somebody really hear and know what? Yes. They hear, they understand, they remember. He can't talk back, but once Lazarus come forth. Now he tells me everything that we just spoke of. I mean, if that's
it was creepy when we were at Alpha Charlie's and we're going through it and going, holy cow! I remember that. I would tell you what you said.
You finished the whole thing. Yeah, each one
exactly
every day.
Yeah,
this went on,
and so that was kind of creepy, but it was really cool too.
Wow, God is good.
Amen.
Very good.
Amen. All right, guys. So we have a joke around here. They go, how long is it going to be? And I go, what do you think, 20 minutes? Sometimes we go over.
3 hours.
I don't know that we've ever done 20 minutes. So
In anything.
Awesome. Any closing words, guys? So like, it just, finishing up with maybe like a memory of Able Shepherd or something. Let me think of, if anybody's just go when you got something. I'm trying to think of something else that I can close with. I'm gonna touch on the community just because it is a very real thing, and I know that when you guys get together, you start going, and other people start. There's a certain energy. And I think we captured that tonight, and I just wanted to get it. I wanted to document it because we say come for the shooting and stay for the family, all that other things. Coming in and getting these tactical skills, spiritual. Jason, we just talked about this many times this week. People come in physical, then mental, and then spiritual. When you say that, they come in clearly here for physical training, for physical, protection from what? Destruction. What kind of destruction? Physical. But then when they're here, they realize that's not the order. It's spiritual, then it's mental, and then it's physical. Because this is a big fat maybe, right? Spiritual is a definite this day, every day, right? Mental is the mental health thing going on with people taking their own lives, right? That you don't even see it. Young people, like all of this, it is a big, big deal. So you're going to have to defend your family. It's starting with your young people every single day. And the physical threat is a maybe. I think it's not high risk, it's high cost. So somebody goes in shooting up a school, somebody's got to physically step up right now, this second. So it's very, very important. Yeah. But again, these are more likely.
It's the conditioning. Think about it. The spiritual conditioning, then mental conditioning, and then physical conditioning makes us stronger as men and women in this organization.
Yeah. Even the chief that was just in town came for the physical part. Now we're hugging, we're praying. He's like, hey, we're doing God's work. And I'm like, dude, was that just said? Like the last words cool. As he's leaving. So and I'm like, hey, man, if you want to come for the physical stuff, cool, but you're only getting a third, and it's the lower third, right? Yeah. But if you get that if you get that spiritual, then mental, then physical, now we're on to something. Now we're heading towards that spiritual, the unique ability, spiritual calling, and gifts. Your spiritual gifts and your calling, where they meet, is where you're going to be 100%. That's it.
And I think that this program started out with, the Able Shepherd training, but it's only the start. I think there's other things that God's going to lead this organization into besides this. Amen. And it's been a fantastic beginning, but just the beginning.
The journey. It's been a fantastic journey. It started and is still rolling down the road.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Well, as long as we take the next right step, the journey will continue just as it always has.
Amen. Amen. Well, God bless you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming in.
It is so fantastic.
Yes. And to all my brethren sitting on the floor.
We're surrounded here, by the way, all off camera.
Yeah. It's super cool.
We're going to need to set up the audience chairs.
There you go. Just put them outside and open those windows over there.
Bleachers.
All right, guys. So learn more about the program at ableshepherd.com. I say go there to learn about the training, to see a little bit more, finger on the pulse about it, what it really is. I think we do a better job on YouTube to watch these adventures. There's one called Intro to Backcountry that's really family oriented. There's other stuff called Breaching. There's some. Those are two of my favorite ones. And then kind of get to see what this community does, like what we get to do each and every day on Sundays with our families. Get to do, and it's awesome. So those people that are out there that are drawn once you realize that your life is an action adventure, ministry starts getting really cool. So if you're bored with it, you're doing it wrong. But maybe check out how we're doing it. Maybe you glean something off of that. And I used to think this was life-changing, but it's life-saving stuff. So praise God. We have saved lives in this community, whether somebody physically stopped and helped somebody on the side of the road that maybe wouldn't have made it. But I've had people come up to me, not one, many, that have said, this saved my life. Why? Because I was in a bad place and now I'm not. I'm in a healthier place and I'm pouring into my family. So, it's easier. Frederick Douglass said it's easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. Well, how about we do both? How about we do both together? So you're invited. So God bless each and every one of you. We truly love you. Until we see you next time, take care of one another. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again for another episode. Please be sure to follow us and support us on all of the social media. That's Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. All of that starts by visiting ableshepherd.com.